Good morning from here in the UK. I am Ikenna Umezidike, welcoming you once again to this week's episode of Modesty's Monday Motivational Series. And this is episode 15 of this series, and this is the second episode we're holding this year. So I just want to, today we're going to be talking about something really important and really relevant for the time of the year that we're in. And I hope that you benefit from that at the end of today's episode. But I just want to welcome you into this new working week, and I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope you've had a brilliant past week. But even if the past week hasn't gone as well as you would have wanted it to, this week presents you with another opportunity, another clean slate to start afresh again. Learn from the mistakes of last week, apply the lessons from that mistake in this week, and make this week a better one. Listen, the key point in life is trying to control as much as what you can control, and the things that you cannot control, they are really beyond your control. But the things you can control and the things you can do for yourself, try as much as possible to gain control over them and make sure you steer them in your own favor. Okay, so this is the beginning of the year, January. But well, the beginning of the year is almost ending because today is the 27th of January. So we are very close to the end of January. And it just seemed like yesterday when we all screamed, "Hey, Happy New Year! January is here, year 2020 is here," and then we're all very ecstatic and very optimistic and expectant, which is naturally what our mood should reflect and should be in the new year. If you are not ecstatic, if you're not expectant, if you're not excited about a new year and an opportunity for a new beginning, there is something, wrong emotionally with you. So, but then how we translate all that emotion, all that expectation, and all that level of emotional upliftment into tangible, realizable results is a different thing altogether. Several people, ended last year in different places, in different moods. Some people really are into going for a crossover service, maybe in a church or any religious place or gathering, just to get themselves refreshed and give themselves a renewed hope and reconnect with their God, and prepare themselves into the new year. And anytime we come into the new year, there is so much expectation from everyone about what the year holds, and there are so many prophecies and positive affirmations about what the year could bring. But a lot of people miss the point. And the point they miss is realizing that how your year turns out is not entirely down to where you spent the 31st of December. It's not entirely down to the amount of prophecies you received. It's not entirely down to the amount of prayers that were offered on your behalf or that you offered for yourself. It's not entirely down to how well you have spoken about yourself and prophesied into the year. It's not entirely down to all that. Why I'm using the word entirely is that these things are components. They play a part to some extent, and I would say to very insignificant and minimal extent, to how the year actually turns out to you. What actually determines the level of result you achieve in a year when you enter the new year and what you want to achieve in that year is what you have actually put yourself to do, how you have put yourself towards doing that. And it all starts by setting goals. So today we are going to be talking about goal setting guides for the year. So if the year has started since January 1st, and I tell you what, it is still not too late for you to set goals for this year. There is no specific time for anyone to say this is the best time or this is the right time for me to set goals. Whenever you feel you have come to the realization that I need to set clear-cut goals, you start from that moment, and from that moment you start holding yourself to account. But the reason we like talking about these things at the beginning of the year is because it is the time when we are most emotionally charged, when we are most expectant, when our optimism level is really high, when everybody feels that there is a clear path, or through which they want to walk, when everybody is looking already at 12 months ahead. So it makes a lot of sense that at this time of the year we'll be talking about goal setting. So with all the frenzy that comes with the New Year celebration, the Christmas and all that, and then we are now in the new year, we must have said so many positive things to ourselves about how this year is going to be. Some people even have stickers. They stick it on their cars, on their Bibles, and everywhere, just to say that this year is going to be fantastic, it's going to be glorious, it's going to be blessed, it's going to be prosperous, all manner of things. But just pick out one person and say, can I see what your goals are for this year? What goals have you set for yourself for this year? It will be difficult for that person to present to you a clear-cut goals written down and specified. So today we are going to talk about goal setting guides for the year. So if you haven't set your goals yet for this year, maybe after listening to today's episode, you might want to go and set yourself some goals for the year. If you have set your goals already for the year, you might just want to look at it and make sure that it's basically in line with what goals should look like. Now, I am not saying that what I'm recommending is the one and perfect fit for all goal setting guides. There are several goal setting guides all over the place on the internet and everywhere, and every motivational speaker and every body who talks about goal setting, there are far more intelligent people than I am who talk about goals. But I am only contributing my little knowledge. And remember, the essence of me doing this every Monday is not to say that I am better than anyone or I am richer than anyone. It is simply that we are embarking on a journey together where we all hold ourselves accountable, and we are sharing information and we are sharing knowledge. And I am hoping that the little knowledge I have, which I'm sharing with my friends, my clients, and my fans on Facebook like yourself, that little knowledge can actually make an impact on you. So now, why exactly do we even have to set goals? Why are goals important for us? Now, goals are like a compass. They provide direction for where you're headed to. I haven't seen any successful person in life whom I have read their books or I have listened to that have not started their journey with clear-cut goals set for what they want to achieve. And I will start with a quote that says that if a man does not know what port he is sailing to, no wind is favorable to him. If you cannot identify where you are heading, nothing that happens around you makes sense, because you don't even know why they happen. You don't even know why events around you are taking place. So you don't actually know where you are headed to. It is the goals that you have set that actually clears the path to say to you that this is where I am headed. For example, you want to set up a business, and then you ask, have you sat down to ask yourself, why do I want to set up this business? Why do I even want to become self-employed? Why do I not want to work for somebody? And then if you have convinced yourself on why you want to set up a business, then you will have to convince yourself why you have chosen that particular line of business. So there must be a direction, and that direction is what the goals help you to achieve. Because if you do not have a direction, then everything around you will just be blown away by any wind that comes across, and it will appear to you that things are not working out perfectly well. But the problem is that you have not from day one, from the start, from the scratch, identified where you're going. So the very popular goal setting technique or guide that we all know about is what is called SMART goals. Now, I'm going to go a step further or two steps further in describing what those SMART goals is, to say we are going to make it smarter goals. So I'm not just going to talk to you about SMART goals. I'm going to talk to you today about smarter goals, because I've come up with two more elements, I think, that should be added to your goal setting guides that will make your goals not just smart, but make them smarter. And in my description, some of the alphabets, because SMART is just like an acronym, it's used as an acronym. It just shows you what your goal should look like and what qualities your goal should possess, or what your goal should basically be. So SMART is SMART. And then I said I have made it smarter. So we're talking about SMARTER. So we're talking about smarter goal setting today. And a lot of us might be very, very familiar with the SMART goals. But we're going to take them one at a time, because S, for example, I have three things that S represents in that SMART. It's one S, but I have three things that S represents. And then I have also added, an ER to it to make it smarter goals, just for clearer understanding. Now, without taking much of our time, I just want to jump into this now. Your SMART goals in this year, S stands for specific. So your goals, when you set your goals, they should be specific. Your goals should be specific enough to identify to the very, very minimal detail what exactly you are looking to achieve. It is not enough to just say, I want to be rich in 2020. How rich do you want to be? What is your definition of being rich? How much does rich mean to you? Because there are so many rich people. There are billionaires, there are millionaires, there are even hundreds of thousands years. So, if you are in the UK and you say, I want to make it big in 2020, how big do you want to make it? How much exactly do you need to make life comfortable for you? If financial goals are what you are focused on and you want to earn money, how much do you want to earn? How much exactly do you want to earn that will be enough for you to say, I have hit my goals this year? That is what it means by being specific. I want to grow my business. By how much do you want to grow the business? By 20%, by 30%, by 40%, by 50%, or you want to double the business? And then doubling the business or growing the business, in what areas you want to grow the business? Are you saying that you want to grow your turnover by another 20%? Say your turnover last year was, £200,000. Are you saying I want to grow it by 20% and I want to hit £240,000? That is being specific. I want to earn £100,000. What do you want to earn £100,000 for? What do you want it for? What do you want to do with it? So being specific goes down to details of why I even want to hit that goal. For example, I want to quit my job. Yeah, but I want to start a side hustle that I will allow it to grow, and when it grows to a certain point, I will quit my job, and then that's my goal. That is your goal. That's clear enough. That's specific enough. Okay, I want to grow this side hustle, and if this side hustle earns me £50,000 in a year apart from my salary, I'm going to quit my job, and then I'm going to take on that side hustle as a full-time hustle, because it's going to give me enough time to spend with my family, and I want to spend more time with my family. And that's how you become specific about what exactly you want to achieve. It's not just down to saying, hey, I want to hit it big this year. But you've got to be specific about how much really do you want. Then if you decide how much you want for that year, it now helps you to break those goals down into how you want to achieve them. If you want £100,000, for example, income in a year, you now say, how long do I have to do this? I have 12 months ahead of me. So it means, on average, I need to be earning £8,500 or £9,000 every month if I want to hit this. So now you have specific goals that you want to hit in 12 months' time. You have specific goals that you want to hit in a month's time. Then it becomes simpler for you to say that this is where I am headed to. So specificity is very important when you are setting your goals, because if your goals are not specific, they become ambiguous. And when your goals become ambiguous, it becomes directionless. So the direction that you're headed to are all guided by the specificity you have added to the goals that you want to set. That is the first S that I want to talk about. The other S I want to talk about in that SMART is that your goals have to be scary enough. Yeah, it sounds weird, but I mean, that's true. Your goals have to be scary. If your goals don't scare you, they are not big enough, they are not ambitious enough. But then there is a balance to be struck here. Your goals can be too scary in such a way that it becomes demoralizing to you, because all your effort you are now putting it in, it appears as if you are not achieving anything. But then again, if your goals are not scary enough to you, it means you are basically keeping yourself in your comfort zone. Your goal should be scary enough to get you out of your comfort zone, to make you uncomfortable every single day, to know that I've got to do this and I have a very strong reason to do it. Some people set goals that are, really within their comfort zone, and they say, because I don't want to discourage myself, let me just, as long as I achieve this. And some of those goals that are not scary enough are driven by fear. If you're bold and you're brave enough and you believe in yourself, you should be able to set goals that scare you. That when you wake up and you feel that those goals are challenging, and you feel challenged by those goals, and you say, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and I'm going to go and do this. There are people who go out and they say, I've got to make as many phone calls as possible. How many phone calls do I need to make a sale? How many phone calls today do I need to make to hit the target I want to hit for myself? And sometimes we wait for people to drive us. If your goals are scary enough, you should be able to drive yourself. They should be able to drive you. Don't wait for external factors to drive you. You don't wait for your boss to set your goals and targets for you. You don't wait for your family to set your goals and targets for you. Your goals should be scary enough for you to say, I am driving myself towards it, because at the end of the day, you are the ultimate beneficiary of those goals when you achieve them. So if your goals are not scary enough, they are not ambitious enough. They should challenge you. There should be goals that when you sleep thinking about how you can get to where you want to get to, because those goals are really big enough. For example, if you feel you are overweight and you think, I need to lose 5 kilograms in this month, and then you go, how on earth am I even going to lose 5 kilograms? But that's your goal. And you know that you need to shed this weight, and you need to shed as much as this weight by this time. If you wake up thinking, wow, this is going to be tough. Yes, it's a challenge. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. Because you have set goals that are scary. They scare you, they challenge you, but deep down inside you, you know that if you put in the work, you are going to achieve it. And those are the kind of goals that when you hit them, people by the side will say, wow, how did you do that? Have you had anybody ask you that question? How did you do that? That, my dear, is an achievement that nobody believed you could attain. So your goals have to be scary enough. The other S in the SMART I want to talk about is simplicity. Your goals have to be simple. Yeah? Do not make your goals too complicated, because if it's simple enough, then it is understandable enough. I mean, it's as simple as saying, okay, I want to make £100,000 this year because I want to move home. I want to buy a new property. I want to relocate. I want to make £100,000 because I want to move home and I want to live closer to where I work. Simple. And then you set out to go and do that. Those are the simple things that you have told yourself This is what I want to earn. This is why I want to earn it. And this is when I want to earn it. It's as simple as that. You can just decide on this year to say that I have only one goal that I want to achieve. And that one goal I want to achieve is that I want to bring my mom or my dad, to come and live with me. Therefore, I need more space. Therefore, where I'm living is too small and I want to bring my family in. I need more space. How much space do I need? I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment at this moment. I need a 3-bedroom apartment. By when do I need it? I need it by October this year. How much is it going to cost me? You see how simple these goals are to say. It doesn't have to be complicated. Your goals don't have to be complicated. Don't make it too complicated for yourself to understand. Because if you don't understand it yourself, you cannot implement it. If you have staff in your office and you cannot communicate to your staff the simple goals that the organization seeks to achieve, the failure have started already. Because if the members of the staff do not understand where the organization is headed to, and you cannot communicate those goals in simple, clear terms, it is the beginning of the failure of that organization. It has to be simple enough that everybody can easily key into it, and everybody can even memorize it. You can even write it on a simple piece of paper, that these are my goals for 2020, in very simple, clear terms. And there you have it. Because then it just makes the job easy for you, because you already know what you want to do. And the simplicity of your goals really just makes your goals more exciting. And it makes it more fun to attain it and to achieve it. So that is the S in the SMART. And what does the M stand for? The M is for measurable. Your goals should be measurable. You should be able to measure your goals in clear units of achievements. I'm still going to use some financial goals. And I said, if you have clear, measurable goals like how much money you want to earn, it then means that you can measure how far you have come in achieving those goals. Because whatever can be measured can be managed. If you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. If you cannot say that this is how far I have come after 1 month of setting my goals, you cannot manage the process of attaining those goals and achieving those goals. Because the measurable goals that are measurable gives you a clear-cut direction on how you can easily assess your progress or lack of progress. And when you can measure them, you will now know how much more effort you need to put in to attain the next level of the goals. Or you now know how far back you are from achieving what you want to achieve. Say, for instance, you have set your savings goals, and you say, I need to save £3,000 by June 2020. Okay, those £3,000 I need to save, they are for holidays. So I need to book my holiday in June because I'm going away in August. Or I want to book that holiday in May. So I need to have saved £3,000 by May. And then you break that down from, say you set that goal in January, or even you set that goal a year ago in May last year, and you say I want to save enough money to go on holiday by May next year, and I need £3,000. And then we are already in January, and you check your savings account, and what you've got in your savings account is say £1,000. Then what you need is £3,000. Now, because you already know how much you want to save, because you already have that measurable part of your goals, you can look back from May to January to say how many months was that? That's 7 months, and I've saved £1,000, meaning I have averaged just about £150 every month. That's not good enough. I should have been averaging £250 every month if I wanted to hit my 12-month savings target of £3,000. So you already know that there is a shortfall of £2,000 in your savings goal towards hitting your holiday target. Now you have January to May. You have only 4 months to hit 2,000 pounds target. So you can see how you are measuring it. You can see how you are measuring your progress. You now know how far away you are or how far you have come to achieving those goals. If they are not measurable, if you don't put them in measurable units, it will be difficult for you to manage that process of achieving those goals. Because the number of calories you have burnt, the kilograms or the stones you want to lose, the amount of money you want to save or you want to earn, those are measurable units. So you have to break them down to the units where you can say, this is how I can measure my progress, or this is how I can measure my lack of progress. And then you key yourself into that. Because your goals are measurable, it makes sense because they are measurable. And then you can now look back and measure how far you have come or how far you still have to travel. Now, A in that SMART is for achievable. Your goals have to be achievable or attainable. Your goals don't have to be, a pie in the sky. I mean, you don't just wake up one morning and say, yeah, I want to buy a £1 million house this year. Meanwhile, you're on a £23,000 starter salary. Unless the impossible happens. A £1 million house is possible for you, but you just graduated from the university, you just got your first job, and you're earning £23,000 in your first job. But then you said you are setting a goal to buy a £1 million house. You might win the lottery. You might, be a beneficiary of some kind of inheritance. There might be some kind of windfall. But one thing you know is that these things are one-off. So when you're setting goals, goals are not based on one-off events. They are based on series of conscious and conscionable actions. Steps, deliberate steps that you take, and they will lead you to where you eventually want to be. So your goals have to be achievable. If those goals are not within what you know is achievable, and being achievable is dependent on the amount of resources that are available to you. So you've got to look at the resources that you have and make sure that those resources are good enough, they are big enough, and they are enough for you to achieve what you want to achieve. You do not plan, for something that is beyond the capacity that you have. Your capacity and your resources, the amount of knowledge and the skills you have, what is available to you has to play a part in how achievable those goals are. If you're a one-man band running a business, and then you say, this year I want to grow my business, I want to open, 3 more branches of my business. Really? And you haven't got the staff, and you haven't got the personnel to run those 3 branches that you want to open. Is that achievable? That's not achievable. The knowledge level and the skill level that you have has to be able to drive you as well. If you want to scale up your earnings, and you say, well, as an entry-level IT engineer, I aim to earn, say, £250,000 through IT contracts. I want to be an IT contractor by the end of this year. You are an entry-level IT engineer. You haven't got the skill sets to become a contractor yet. So your resources are limited. You've got to be setting goals that you know are achievable. You know that there are steps for you before you even get to the level of becoming an IT contractor, because you've got to learn on the job. You've got to acquire the skills. You might even need to take some extra professional exams for you to earn what you want to be earning. You can't just come in and say, I want to be earning what my boss is earning by the end of this year, because my boss drives this big car and I want to drive that same car that my boss drives at the end of the year. You don't earn what your boss earns, because you haven't got the skill sets, you haven't got the knowledge and experience level, you haven't got the resources available to your boss. as well to earn what is earned. So your goals have to be achievable, and they have to be within the context of resources, skills, and things that are available to you to make those things happen. So that's A. R is that your goals have to be realistic. Now, this is basically related to being achievable. It's not too far away from being achievable, but your goals being realistic really means that those goals are not just dreams. Yeah, there's a difference between dreams and goals. The things you dream about, some of them it can never actually happen, but then you dream about it. But dreaming about it doesn't mean that you let them go completely. You might dream about becoming say the president of your country. It's okay to dream, but then can you actually set that as a goal to say that it's realistic for me to become the president of my country? So even politicians who play politics, they know what is realistic for them to achieve. Somebody will come out to contest for a political position. The person knows realistically, I cannot win this election. Realistically, I cannot achieve this. But I'm only just doing it. I have, other things I want to benefit from that. But then, so that's the way it works. Realistically, can you really achieve that which you are setting out to achieve? You wake up one morning and say, I want to become the president of this country. Is it realistic? It's not realistic. So that's what we're saying. It's okay to dream. But dreams and goals are different things. Goals are things that you're looking forward to, and you want to design a clear-cut steps and objectives that will help you to achieve that. If you know that there are no clear path that you can see that will help you get to the goals that you are setting, it's just a mere dream. It's a pie in the sky. You're just, thinking aloud. Oh, what if this happens? Or what if I wake up one morning in a palace? What if I wake up one morning and I am the king of this land? What if I wake up one morning and I'm lying on top of, bills of dollars or pounds and all that? Those are just all dreams. But we're talking about goals that are realistic. If it's realistic enough for you to earn a certain amount of money in a year, and you can see a clear path to doing that, then that's what we're talking about, realistic goals. If it's realistic enough for you to say, okay, in this year, I want to employ 2 people in my business. And I want to employ them because I want to focus more on the things that bring in money as the as the one who owns the business. I want to focus my attention more on things that bring money. I want to employ 2 people who will be dealing with admin work. Every day I come in, I clean my office, and you might be just saying, it takes me an hour or 2 to just clean my office, to arrange my table, to clip papers, to do all the admin stuff, before I even get down to the nitty-gritty of talking to customers. Oh, I spend 2 hours reading and replying emails. Is there anybody else that can do this for me? And you look at yourself and say, can I put these hours into something more productive? If I do that, how will it benefit my business? Okay, now, my goal this year is to get rid of all the admin work that takes up my time, because I want to earn more money, and this is how much money I want to earn. So realistically, you can do that because you have a clear path in your head and in your eyes where and how you want to achieve this and why you want to do that. So it's a realistic goal to set in that instance, because you can see where that goal is going to lead you to, and you can see how much impact it's going to have on you. So that is R. T is for time bound. Your goals should be time bound. You don't just set goals and there are no time frames within which you have given yourself to achieve that. So we're at the beginning of the year, and then you're already looking at, the first month is gone already. So you have 11 more months to the end of this year to achieve what you want to achieve. So if you're setting your goal for 2020, January is no longer part of it. if you haven't set the January goal, if you haven't set your goal from the beginning of January, if you're just setting the goals now, like I said earlier on, it's not too late. And no time is actually too late to start to set your goals. Because some people might actually wake up from their slumber in March and say, hang on a minute, I need to do something about this. I've wasted enough time this year. I need to wake up and start. From that March, the person sets their goal, and then you might think that because you set yours in January, you're going to perform better than that person. No. It's all about how much effort, how badly do you want it? How desperate are you about this? How keen are you to get to that point where you want to get to? The person who set their goals in March might actually outrun you. By the end of December, they might be hitting their goals, and you are still, crawling and struggling to even hit 50% of the goals you've set in January. So, time bound, there has to be a time within which you've got to set those goals to achieve them. Say, oh, Christmas is December 25, yes, and I need £2,000 for Christmas expenses. So I need to start saving for Christmas expenses. £2,000 here, that should give me and my family very good Christmas. How many more months do I have to save it? And by when do I have to have that £2,000 in my account? And you might tell yourself, by the 31st of November, I should have £2,000 in my account. This is January the 27th. So I've got 10-month window to save £2,000. How does that translate? I need to save an average of £200 every month in my account so that me and my family can have a wonderful Christmas, and it's going to cost us £2,000 to do that. That's it. That's your savings goal. That's just one of the savings, goal you have given to yourself. And because you have said by the 31st of November, that is the time bound we are talking about. Because you have given yourself, within 10 months I need to do this. So that when you are going back to review your goals and to see how far you have come, you would already know how far you've gone, and you already know how far you've got left to hit those goals. And then you keep your eyes on those goals. And time bound as well, I want to talk about, some people set long-term goals. It's very good. Oh, in the next 10 years, I want to achieve this. In the next 10 years, I want to own 3 properties. In the next 10 years, that's my 10-year goal. In the next 5 years, I want to own my own home. I want to buy a land. I want to build my own house. I want to be a landlord in the next 5 years. That's also fantastic. But I just want to admonish you of one thing this morning. It's better to set short-term goals that will keep you focused than setting long-term goals that will make you believe you have enough time to achieve them, and then before that time you already lost focus. Because trust me, 5 years is a long time, and a lot can happen in 5 years that could basically derail your goals, and you will lose focus, and you might not even be interested in those goals anymore. 12 months alone is a long time. A lot can happen within this year. I mean, Britain is coming out of Europe on the 31st of January. That is just one part of it. By the time they come out of Europe, they now start negotiating for trade deals. They've already started talking to Africa, they are talking to America, they are talking to Europe, they will start talking to Europe first, the EU first, and then they will be talking to China and all the rest of them. A lot of things can happen. You could set all those goals, and one government policy, when the budget lands, can knock those goals off their perch. And what do? You've got to start all over again. You've got to replace those goals with something more current, with something more relevant. So set yourself short-term goals first of all. And those short-term goals, when you achieve them one at a time, they culminate into long-term goals. By the time you look at yourself 5 years back, you realize that where you are is not where you used to be 5 years ago, because you are focused on the immediate things. First of all, you are not looking too far forward. I'm not saying that long-term goals are bad, but long-term goals have the capacity and the potential to actually derail you, and it makes you believe that you have too much time. I'm going to give you an example. I remember 20 years ago when Nigeria launched what they call Vision 2020. Vision 2020. And 20 years ago, that Vision 2020 looked so fantastic. There were so many infrastructural and developmental goals loaded in that Vision 2020. And everybody was like thinking that in the year 2020, Nigeria is going to look like Dubai. Nigeria is going to look like New York. The amount of infrastructural development that's going to take place and the kind of things that's going to be happening there, people will be killing themselves to get visa to come into Nigeria. 2020 is here. Guess what? I don't know how many of those goals they were able to achieve, and those visions have died a natural death. Because in that past 20 years, a lot of political changes have taken place. A lot of economic changes have taken place. In fact, the financial crisis even happened within that 20 years. But the Vision 2020 sounded so laudable, so attractive at that time. But what it's done to the Nigerian government is that it's created a sense of complacency. Oh, it's 2020, we still have time to meet up. Oh, we still have time to meet up. And before they knew it, 2020 was already here. And if you present that Vision 2020 to the current Nigerian government, they will deny it because they weren't the ones that set the vision. They will say, oh, this is not our vision, so we're not interested, in that. Yesterday I was listening to the news, and the UK, they were talking about the HS2 project and all the lies that are associated with it. Some ex-executives of the HS2 project were talking about how they advised the executives in the past that this is not achievable, and these goals are not achievable. This project is not really as viable as they make it to be, or the budget they have set aside for it is deceptive, and all the rest of them. These were happening years ago, and nobody believed that by 2020 HS2 will not have attained a near completion stage. But 2020 is here, and they are yet to agree on what the actual budget is. And now the budget has from 30-something billion, now they are talking about 160-something billion. As budget for HS2, meaning that the project actually. So what I'm talking about, when you set your goals too far forward, it gives room for complacency. If you can set your goals yearly or 2-year goals, it gives you more sense of responsibility to say, I've got 12 months to make this happen, and I'm going to make it happen. Even if you've got 2-year goals, break them down into yearly goals. Okay, I need to do this extension to my property in the next 2 years. Yeah, that's the project. That's what I want to do. I want to extend my property. I want to build this, extend the lounge and all that. In 2 years' time, I want to get that project done. Fine. How much do you need to get that done? Can you break that down into 1 yearly projects times 2? I need 25,000 to do this extension. So in this first year, I need to set aside 12,500, and I need to get an architect to at least draw the plan for me, and I need that architect to tell me if I need planning permission. Do I need planning permission to do that? If I need planning permission, I will start now working on the planning permission. Those are steps that will enable you to achieve the 2-year goals that you've set for yourself to extend your property in 2 years' time. Because you've broken it down to 1 yearly goal times 2, it makes it easier for you to basically hold yourself to account on what you have actually done and the steps you've taken to achieve that. Before you know it, in the next 2 years, that project is completed because you already brought it forward to a 1-year project, and within the first year, this is what you need to do. Then in the second year, you start contracting people out. You get the building contractor, you get the electrical contractor, those people are already set. You've already sourced for those professionals. You already know who you want to use. And the money to do that project is already, you've already identified how you wish to raise the finance to even finance that. That is what structured, planned goal setting does for you. So the time-bound thing there is not just about how much time you have to achieve those goals. It's also about how long those goals have to be. Don't make them too long so that you do not develop that sense of complacency and you think you have more time to achieve that. Before you know, the time is upon you, and then hey, there you go. You know, my my 40 years anniversary almost happened like my 40 years birthday almost happened like an accident. I didn't even know when I clocked 40. I didn't even know when I clocked 40. And the next thing I was looking at myself, I said, hey, hang on a minute, I'm 40 years old. You know, and this happened like 3 years ago, but it almost came, you know, upon me like an accident. I was like, have I already spent 40 years of my life here on earth? So you begin to reflect, I begin to think about certain things. Imagine if when I was 20 years old, I was telling myself, I want to retire at the age of 40. It would have been possible if I took it seriously then and said I wanted to retire at the age of 40. At the age of 40, I should have been retired and been, you know, by the side of one lovely beach there and just doing my thing. But 20 years ago, to be honest with you, I had no 20-year plan. It's a long time, and that's exactly what we are talking about. You might be, you know, in your 20s or 30s now, and you might be thinking, oh, by the time I'm 50, I would have sorted myself out financially. I don't need to work again by the time I'm 50. That is really laudable. If you can do that and set that as a goal, you can achieve it. But what I want you to do is do not focus on that 20-year plan. Bring the 20-year plan and break it down to yearly goals. And every year you achieve one, you put it in the back pocket. Every year you do one, you put it in the back pocket. Because within that long term you are setting those goals, a lot can change. And your priorities can also change. So that is T. Remember I said I'm going to make this smarter goals. So I've added an E and R again to our smart goals setting. So the E of that smarter represents exciting. Your goals have to be exciting. You've got to be excited about the goals you've set for yourself. Your goal should be giving you spring in your step every single day you wake up in the morning. You should be excited about going out there to do what you need to do to hit your goals. Now listen, the key word here is your goals are the things that are exciting. Some of the activities that you need to get involved in to achieve those goals might not be as exciting as those goals. But what excites you are the results that those activities and those exercises are going to yield. Because, trust me, the things that yield the most positive results usually are the most boring things you can imagine. For example, reading. Reading is one of the most boring things you can ask anybody to do. As a child, I dreaded reading. You know, to sit down and have a book and sit down and just stick to that book and start reading, unless I have a reason to do it. But to just say, hey, take a book and start reading, it's one of the most boring things you can ask me to do. But guess what? It's one of the most positive yielding results activities you would ever want to, because when you bend your head down to read, the amount of knowledge that you acquire simply because you're seated and you're reading and you're acquiring that knowledge, when you begin to exhibit what that knowledge has loaded you with, everybody by the side begins to marvel at how well you are able to execute your tasks and how well you're able to do things. But it's all as a result of a culmination of some boring activities. Another boring activity I can mention to you is praying. It's very boring to pray, trust me. And that's why a lot of people don't bother about that. Hey, how can I just kneel down and spend an hour, 30 minutes just praying? Come on, I can do something more meaningful with that. But prayers, and people who believe in prayers, like I do and I was brought up to do, it works wonders. When you take your time to pray, trust me, things begin to take shape and they begin to, Muslims, they pray like 5 times a day. Dedicated Muslims. Christians devote their times to pray. Even pagans They devote their time to their God to pray to them. So anybody who believes in anything, but whatever form your prayer takes, trust me, it's one of the most boring things to do. And that's why not too many people do it. And that is where the secret lies. That thing that not too many people are interested in doing, that's the thing that rewards most. And that is why not too many people benefit from that. Because only those who are prepared to take their time and do those boring things, those are the people who are also going to be rewarded by that. So your goals should be exciting. But I'm just warning you that some of the things you need to do to get to the exciting goals might not be as exciting as your goals. Because if you set a goal to move into a bigger apartment, say by the end of the year, just like, I've set that as a goal, this year. Because my daughter says she needed space, and she's going to turn 10 by September. So that is already a big goal for me. She's already told me what her 10th year birthday gift should be. So she's already told me what she wants for her 10th year birthday. Well, I've already noted that. But then the excitement of having a bigger space, a bigger house, where everybody enjoys their own privacy and enjoys their own space, and enjoying the luxury that comes with that, and the decoration and all that, and the freshness of a new house. It's an exciting goal to have, to say, oh, wow, I'm looking forward to this. But looking forward to it means work. The excitement of getting married. Maybe your goal this year is to say, I'm going to get married this year. I'm a man. I want to get married this year. By December, I should be a married man. It's an exciting goal to set. Because the excitement of having a life partner, the excitement of finding love, the excitement of, having a family. You already pictured a lovely family seated on the couch, watching movies together. You already pictured yourself lying down, placing your head on your wife's laps, and just, having a cup of wine together. It's an exciting goal to achieve. But then, to get there, what do you need to do? You've got to work hard, because there has to be a wedding. You can't just go and kidnap the girl and bring her into your house. There has to be a wedding. And that wedding takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of costs. It takes a lot of hard work. Do you know, I was reading a post from someone on Twitter the other day. He said there are two things he will never give somebody money for: wedding and naming ceremony. And he said, if you cannot make enough money to sponsor your own wedding, it actually means you are not yet ready to marry. If you cannot make enough money to look after your child, and you depend on gifts for naming ceremony to look after it, it means you're not ready to raise a family. And those statements are very deep. Very, very deep. So if you're looking forward to raising a family, you need to know it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to make that work. So basically, as exciting as it is, there are lots of boring things you need to do. You might even have to give up your weekends to say, well, whatever I do on weekends, I'm going to give them up, because I want to take up extra work, because I really want to get married and I want to get my wedding sorted in this year. Maybe you have found love already. You have found a wife or a partner, but you need to get through the wedding. But if you haven't found one already, you have to go through the boring process of finding a wife first before you get married. So as exciting as the goal is, the tasks and the activities and the exercises involved in attaining those goals might not be as exciting. But your goal should be exciting enough that it should give you a spring and a reason to get out of bed every morning and pursue it, because it means that much to you. Now, finally, the R in this matter. Finally, R in this matter represents reviewed. Your goals should be reviewed, and they should be reviewable. I have mentioned that 5 years is a long time. Even 12 months is a long time. So every there should be a periodic review of your goals. If you want to review, some people review their goals every week because they have weekly goals. Some review theirs every 2 weeks. Some review theirs every month. Some do it every quarter. But there has to be periodic reviews of your goals. There has to be a time where you sit back to reflect on how far you have gone. If you have set yourself weekly targets, say how many appointments I need to book into my diary every week. And at the end of the week, maybe on a Saturday, on a Sunday, you sit down to say, how many appointments was I able to book in this week? Okay, I was able to book in 5, but I was looking at 8. So I'm 3 short of this week. Let me see if I'm going to hit that target in the next week. Because that's the number of appointments you need to get into your, to get into your books, to be able to see enough clients, to be able to help you hit your targets of where you want to, land in. Or how many calories have I burnt this week? Like me, I run every morning, and then I have an app that works out how many calories I burn. Say in a week, the app sends me a weekly report of my workouts. So in a week, I burn like more than 2,000 calories every week, and then I will ask myself, is that enough? Is that is that the target I have? Is that how much weight I want to lose? Is that how much calories I want to burn? How much do I take in and how much do I burn? Where do I set the bar? So those are periodic reviews. Some people review their goals every quarter. From January to March, by 1st of April, they're already looking at their goals to say, where have I been? In these first 3 months of this year, how have I done? You look at what you have done every quarter, and that's why companies, organizations, they release periodic reports, quarterly reports. That is to hold themselves to account of where they are and what they need to do. And your goals have to be flexible enough that when you review them, if you need to exclude 1 or 2 of them, remove it if it's no longer relevant. If you need to upgrade 1 or 2, maybe you have overachieved, and then you say, okay, I was looking at basically achieving £5,000 per month in this first quarter. I think I've hit £7,000 a month in this quarter. I need to scale it up to £12,000. You can scale it up. It's part of the review. Or if you need to scale it down a bit to say, I think I've set these goals too high. They're not realistic. I was telling myself I could make £20,000 every month, but I've looked at the resources I have. I don't think I have enough resources to help me achieve that. I need to scale it down a little bit so that I can do what is within my capacity to do. If you have to remove one entirely, you have to remove it because it's no longer relevant. Changes in circumstances could warrant your goals to be reviewed and removed if they are necessary. There might have been birth. You might have given birth to there might have been arrival of a newborn baby in the family. That is a major change in circumstance. That completely turns a lot of things on its head. Income is going to be affected. If your wife works, she's going to be on maternity leave. If you are a man and you work, you might find out that you are working reduced hours. So it might affect your financial projection and your financial income for that year. There might have been deaths. Maybe a partner died, or a loved one died, or somebody who has direct impact on what you wanted to achieve. You lost that person. It's part of life. There might have been, movements in terms of moving homes. You might have relocated from one location to the other, and it has affected what you are earning simply because you had to move. Maybe to stay closer to somebody, a relative who is sick, and you have to look after them. Maybe a loved one has developed sickness all of a sudden and you need to move closer to them. Moving home might actually affect the goals you have set. So life happens. That's what we're saying. When you review those goals, just bear in mind that life happens. And if life happens, let your goals be flexible enough that you can actually either replace them, reduce them, upgrade them, or downgrade them, but just adapt your goals to the circumstances of life that is around you. It is not a crime to do that. It is just you being realistic about what's happening around you. The economy might take a downturn and it might affect every goal you have set for yourself The government might come up with one policy, and that policy turns all your goals upside down. What have you got to do? That is life. You have to adapt. And it all comes by you reviewing those goals judiciously and being very honest to yourself about why you have to review them and what sort of review that has to be. So it is exactly what you need to do. Review your goals every period. Periodically, look at where you're coming from, look at where you're going, look at where you are. Do you need to make any adjustments? If you need to make adjustments, make the adjustments. If you don't need to make adjustments and you're on the right path, carry on the path that you are, and you will get there. So folks, that's me talking about the smarter goals technique for today. For those of us who joined us lately, we just a recap of what we have been saying. We are saying that for you to set goals, there are certain things that your goals need to be. And we said that a lot of us are already familiar with the SMART acronym, but today I decided to make it smarter. And then the letter S in that smarter represented three things. And we said your goals have to be specific, they have to be scary. Yeah, so, yeah. Your goals have to be, they have to be specific, and they have to be scary, and they have to be simple. They have to be specific, scary, and simple. And M, we said your goals have to be measurable. You have to set your goals in measurable units where it is easy for you to say this is what it is and this is what I have achieved. A, I said your goals have to be achievable. They don't have to be a pie in the sky. They have to be goals that are set within the resources available to you and that you are able to achieve them. R, they have to be realistic. They don't just have to be a dream. It's okay to dream, but are those dreams realizable? If those dreams are not realizable, be truthful to yourself and make sure you set goals that are realistic. And T, your goals have to be time bound. Set a time frame within which you are going to achieve those goals, and do not make your goals too long term. Otherwise, you fall into the trap of complacency, thinking that you have enough time to do that, and actually you have less than the time you thought you had. And E, we said your goals have to be exciting. The goals themselves have to be exciting, but the activities and the steps to get there may not be as exciting as they are. But you've got to put in the work so that you can enjoy the excitement that the goals bring. And R, your goals have to be reviewable. Review your goals every now and then so that you can adapt to the current circumstances and the relevant things around you, because life happens and we've got to adapt to life. So that's it, folks, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your working week. Thank you so much for being with us on today's edition of Modesty's Monday Motivation, and I hope we've been able to inspire you, and I hope we've been able to help you along the journey of life. And remember that we're in this journey together. I'm only sharing knowledge, I'm only sharing the experience, I'm only sharing what God has given to me to share with you as a way of giving back to friends, to fans, and to audiences, and to my clients and customers as well. So please leave us feedback and let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are. And if you want to look at the other episode, today's episode is episode 15. Go to my Facebook page. Episodes 1 to 14 are there in my videos. You can watch them all if you want to watch them and look at all the topics that we have looked at. And next week, we're still going to be on the goal setting series, because next week we're going to be looking at the different areas that you need to set goals in, so that we can get down to the real job of setting those goals. But today, set goals. But next week we're going to look at those areas that we need to set those goals in. So if you haven't started thinking about setting goals, start thinking about them, and you already know what qualities your goals have to have. Next week, we're going to look at the areas where those goals have to be featured in. So thank you very much for being part of today's episode, and God bless you all, and do have a wonderful day. Bye now.